Well, hello, and welcome to Opal City Confidential, a Starman podcast. I'm Ross Aiken, and I'm here today with Pete Watson from the Earth 2 podcast. Say hi, Pete.
Hello, delighted to be here. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on a Sunday evening for you, a Sunday afternoon for me.
That's okay.
Folks, this is episode 10, and instead of, we're going to do something a little different, and you had heard me in way back in episode 2 talk about the discovery of Detective Comics 286,
86.
and the star Hyphen Man comic that Pete and David covered on their podcast, and I re-listened to that episode this morning when I was walking the dogs. I forgot about that one and how much, because I barreled through y'all's back catalog in about 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah, you were like my morning commute listen for a few weeks. And David told me and Dave were talking, setting up our recording, and he said, "Do you want to do this one?" And that day I found it in a little library. So Pete's here with me, and we're going to cover this unique Starman comic.
Absolutely.
It is. So first, Pete, give us your comic book origin story and how you became a Starman fan.
Well, as you can probably tell from the voice, I'm not from round your parts.
Yes.
I'm from Clydebank, just outside Glasgow in Scotland. And growing up as a young boy in the 70s, there weren't really that many American comics around. We did have lots of British weeklies, and they were weeklies then, but they were kind of like anthology titles, mostly aimed at kids, like the most famous ones being like the Beano and the Dandy. You might have heard of those.
Yes, I think I've actually had a Beano in my hand.
Oh wow!
At one point,
excellent.
We used to get Judge Dredd in the late 70s, early 80s.
Ah, okay.
They started Diamond started buying, so many thousand copies of 2000 AD, and comic shops in America started selling them. But you'd get dumped, so you get like 6 months worth.
Yeah, I can imagine. Gosh. So yes, that was pretty much how we got comics here, is the British UK weeklies. Now, occasionally they would do things like reprints of US titles. For example, when the Incredible Hulk TV series was on, you would have like a magazine-size comic, because they were always oversized. They were never the size of US comics. They were always larger. And they would have like a photo cover of Lou Ferrigno, just like posing. And inside it you'd have like a 70s story with the Hulk fighting the leader inside, and it was great fun. So occasionally you would get them, but I was a voracious reader as a kid, and I used to just absorb both comics and books as well. And it was just, I think it was probably Superman the movie that really switched me onto DC as a brand, and as this big entity where the superheroes came from, in my eyes, because I saw that I must have been about 6 or 7, so it was right at that proper age to see it, and basically,
it's perfect.
And it's to me, it's still the best superhero movie ever. I don't think it's ever been topped as far as
understanding the character.
Yeah, absolutely. But as far as going in, telling the story, you know exactly where you are. It takes its time. I mean, he proves how he's Superman in one night. It's when he eventually does first appear. He saves Lois, saves the helicopter, stops the cat burglar, rescues Air Force One, and then saves the cat out the tree. After that, he has earned everything in that movie. Right? Any adulation is all earned in that movie. It's superb. Christopher Reeve plays him perfectly. Margot Kidder I met at a con once. She was delightful.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I got her to sign my, the Lois Lane hardback that was like the 75 years of Lois Lane or whatever it was.
Okay, I think I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So she signed that for me, and she was an absolute delight. She was actually looking through, and she said, "Oh, this is." If there hadn't been a queue behind us, I think we would have chatted for a while. But yeah, she was a delight. But as I said, Superman the movie was revolutionary. And then in the UK, I don't know if they did this in the States, but they used to put together a couple of episodes of like the Spider-Man TV series and release it as a movie in the cinema.
No, we didn't, because TV and movies is very separate for us. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. We would have movies cut up into episodes of a show, but no, we wouldn't get that. We got like we where I got Doctor Who, that was delivered to
Mm-hmm.
me when it came to. I grew up outside of Washington D.C.
Yeah.
When I could see Tom Baker's from Baltimore because they're so close, you get both TV signals. But
Mm.
we got him, and there was always an omnibus, so it was kind of the reverse. They were turning
Wow. Okay.
they were taking Doctor Who and turning them into movies and putting on public broadcasting over here.
So yeah, we actually saw like Spider-Man in the cinema, which is bizarre back then, and I think probably because of the popularity of things like Superman the movie, and then releasing these Spider-Man movies, like local shops used to get spinner racks in. Suddenly a spinner rack appeared in my local shop, and they had these American comics. And I vividly remember some of the early ones that I got there. One of them was the Superman issue where I think it's the Daily Planet's been turned into paper. I think it's a Mitch Spittlake story. That was one. Another one, and one of the first ones that I got, was one you've talked about recently, which was the Death of Mr. Terrific issue.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is, bearing in mind I was about 8 or something at the time, understood the multiverse, no bother. That was fine. No need for a Crisis on Infinite Earths. If I can get it at that age, it's not a problem.
Oh, I know. It's, now the multiverse is the big thing in all mediums. I find it really funny that it is. Because I was an adult when Crisis happened. I was 21, 22. So, but no, I remember. What was your first? That was your first JLA JSA crossover?
Yes, it was.
Wow. Yeah. I know a lot. I'm hearing a lot about a lot of people. Mine was 100.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah, I think that's the first Justice League comic. It's kind of that. Avengers 105 and a Legion 197 are these 3 comics that I remember being the earliest ones that I remember reading.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good one.
Well, I had a brother who was just 10 years older than me. Leave me alone. Hand me comics.
Yeah.
So, but when did you become a? So let me ask you a question. So so when did you guys start getting American comics regular? Like in the 80s during the boom?
Well, it was kind of sporadic, to be honest. They would just appear and then disappear from your local shops. For example, that Justice League issue I was talking about, I only got part 1 of that in my local shop. It was literally about 10, 15 years later I got part 2 of it that I managed to find when I found my first comic shop.
Wow. So when did comic shops start popping up in England? In the late 70s, 80s? We were about 75 it started here, I think.
I'm not sure when they first appeared here, but the first one I came across in Glasgow was a place called AKA Books and Comics, and that was around about 1987 because Legends had just kind of finished and the new Justice League had started.
Okay.
So it was around about that period, and I went in and I'd heard rumours about the Flash being killed and the Flash was cancelled, and I actually went in and said, can I just ask, has the Flash been cancelled? And they said, no, it's right there. And I went, oh, thank goodness, picked it up. And I went, issue 3? What? Wally? What? And I literally had to piece all the Crisis stuff together myself and go back and find everything. But it got to a stage where I discovered where you could find comics in and around Glasgow. And every weekend I would do pretty much a tour of the comic shops, because comic shops is a bit of a broad term. There only really were 2 specific comic shops at that time, and that was AKA Books and Comics, which is legendary because people like Grant Morrison and Mark Millar and all that used to go there all the time.
Okay.
And then there was Future Shock, which was another one, but he was very erratic and had stuff everywhere. He'd literally have the same sun-stained stuff in his window for years, literally. And occasionally you would find all these amazing things just sitting there for pennies, which is great. The rumour is that when Wolverine issue 1 came out, the miniseries, Shop bought 1% of the entire distribution of it. So literally they had thousands of copies of Wolverine issue 1.
Oh my god.
And they couldn't give it away in the end. I believe the partner, one of the partners of the shop, kind of just went mad and burnt a whole pile of them. That's the story, because he was so frustrated at it. Can you imagine that?
Oh my god. I remember when in the mid 80s, I guess I was working for Jeppy. Someone found a cache of Howard the Duck #1s.
Wow.
Like
nice.
A couple thousand, and the price plummeted.
Yeah.
It went from this big dollar comic to you couldn't give them away anyway, because someone was going to cons and someone was going around the cons and just selling them at like Overstreet price.
Yeah.
Like, but people were going up. It's like you got like 50 of them.
But shortly after that period, a Forbidden Planet opened in Glasgow, and then there were also other places. There's a famous Glasgow market called the Barras, which I don't know if you've heard of. It was quite well known as being a bit of a rough area and a bit dodgy, but they had this massive comic shop, as it were. They had like used books and stuff, but basically it was massive piles of comics, just literally just piled on top of each other, and they had the prices of them written on the back cover in pencil. So you turn it over and say 20 pence. There you go.
That's the first comic shop I worked at did that.
There you are. And I'd walk away literally with piles of them, like bring bags, because they were just so cheap and you could get so much stuff, and it was amazing. It was so weird because you could get every comic there apart from X-Men. You never saw a single issue of X-Men there because obviously it was the late 80s.
Oh my goodness.
So it was so weird. But yeah, so that's what I did. I went around and got all those. Yeah, and I remember vividly when I was on holiday with my grandparents, actually in Mallorca. We went there, and we found a shop that sold comics there, and that's when I first saw All Star Squadron.
Oh man!
And I picked up it was the Red B issue of All Star Squadron.
Okay, when they tell the origin of the Freedom Fighters.
Yeah, and it was like, this is incredible. Oh my goodness! And of course, I just didn't expect to see that, and that was before. Yeah, that was before I discovered the comic shop, so that really hooked me and got me back in and made me try to seek out comics in and around my area.
How was finding All Star in England?
Scotland, not England.
Sorry, Scotland, the UK. I normally say the UK. How hard was it to find it over there?
It was okay. As I said, most of them actually found at that place in the Barras, to be honest, and you'd pick all over the place because I don't know where they came from. They just appeared, and that was great. I'm not complaining. I'm just guessing they must have just got. It wasn't new comics. It was people's collections and just stuff that people would bring in, obviously, to the Barras, and we would pick it up for buttons. Literally, it was great. Oh, that was the main place we went to, and there's another place in the West End that I went to as well, where there's a guy called Arthur that ran it. It was up these stairs in this arcade. And he had all these, again, weird books. He had boxes of comics and things. And I picked up the first appearance of Animal Man there for 10 pence.
Oh, wow.
Like, what? Wasn't great condition, but it's complete. And it's like, it's the first appearance of Animal. Actually, it was less than 10 pence because it was in a box marked 10 pence each or 12 for £1. So it was about 8 pence.
Oh, wow.
So great stuff. Yeah, I loved it. But yeah, it was more like a scavenger hunt here, to be honest, because these things were, well, what we consider rarer than, you get having them at every corner store and everything there.
Yeah, because my brother that was kind of how he put stuff together after the fact, was you go to used bookstores.
Yeah.
Before the comic shop, and the first comic shop he ever took me to was like in 1977.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and it was in kind of like a big market, like you said, and they moved into a storefront later. That's where I got my the first appearance of the Legion for 10 cents.
Excellent.
No cover, and I didn't realize what it was until 10 years later. My brother did. I went, it's a reprint. He goes, that's not a reprint, you idiot. Read the thing. How long have you had this? 10 years. You're a moron. But I like those things, and I was a collector for a long time. Eventually, it was like I had to get rid of stuff for space, and now I do.
Sure.
I do, downsize. I still have all my All-Stars, though.
Excellent.
Well, it can't. DC's stupid, and they've never reprinted it. But that one terrible showcase. So how did you become a Starman fan? Was it? Did you get into it because of JSA?
Well, I created Starman.
Okay.
When I was a little boy, one of the Marvel UK reprints I was talking about was Fantastic Four, and they ran a competition in it to create a villain who could defeat the Fantastic Four. Now, me as an 8-year-old thought, right, I can do this. I thought, what's a really cool villain name? How about Starman? And he gets his name. He gets his powers from solar energy, from the stars or from the sun, and he can use that. He can channel his power and convert it into other people's powers. He can mimic other people's powers and equipment. Because I thought this is really unique and original, and hadn't heard of Amazo and Super Adaptoid at that point. So yes, he can do all this. And I entered the competition. I drew a really bad picture. It was an 8-year-old. And I sent it in, and I won the competition.
Oh, wow, really? That's
I say I
awesome.
won the competition. There were 100 winners of the competition.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, I created Starman, and it was only afterwards when I was reading the All Star stuff. No, I tell a lie. I think it was Crisis on Earth Prime. Yeah, I read that first, and I think that's where I first saw the Ted Knight Starman in the Justice League issue of that, and then later on, obviously, when I was picking up the other All Star squadrons, I would get more information on him. But yeah, that was that. But yeah, what was weird about that is the competition. They printed all the character names. They would print the occasional pictures of the characters. Fortunately, not mine, because as I said, it was terrible. But they also printed the character names and the creators and where they were from. And as I said, I'm from Clydebank, and I noticed there's about 4 people in my area that have created characters. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And I had this issue for years. I tried to dig it out for tonight, but I don't know where I've put it. It's really annoying. I was going to show you. But I rediscovered it again in the 90s. I was reading through it, and I was working in a bank at that time, in Clydebank, and I know, and basically one day this girl came up to the counter in the bank with her card. She passed the card through, and looked at the cards. I looked at her. I looked at the card, and I said, "Yvonne Robb." And said, "Yes." I said, "Are you the Yvonne Robb that created Mystica that could defeat the Fantastic Four?" And she looked at me and went, "What? Oh, yeah, that's right." I went, "Oh, I'm Peter Watson. I created Starman." She went, "Oh, right, okay. Can I have £10, please?" So yes, that was that was the last time I saw her. But yes, that was fun. But yeah, so I created Starman. There you go. Little did I know that my wonderfully original idea was not. James Robinson didn't come knocking not on my door to say, "Can I use your Starman, please?" No.
If he had known about it, he pulled some, the Starman in 1951.
Yeah.
That's a genius move, because that's just a campy Batman comic.
Yeah.
And as I said to Dave, is there's something about the love of UK and specifically Scottish comic fans, their love of DC Silver Age.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's really.
The thing is, these comics are just joyous. They're just pure, unadulterated fun. It's just be entertaining, tell a story, solve the problem, and get out. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's great fun. It's as opposed to when Marvel started, it was all angst. Oh no, which is fine. There's a place for that, and that's great. But if you just want just sheer enjoyment, just in and out, that's Silver Age DC. It's just so much fun.
So did you read Modern Starman as it was coming out, the Jack Knight stuff, or was this something you went back and got?
Again, this is one that I wasn't there at the start of. I don't know how I missed it at the time, but I kind of missed it from 0 Hour. I think it was maybe around about issue 18. I picked it up from Future Shock, because at that time Future Shock had moved, and it literally was like about 3 blocks down from where I worked at the time, so I was there every lunchtime. And yeah, so I was there and I picked it up. I can't remember why, but maybe it was a guest star or something, I don't know. And fortunately, he had all the previous issues there as back issues, so I read it and loved it and went back and got them all quickly, and then I just couldn't wait in the next issue.
Yeah, it was mine. I was in that transitory where I was reading, I always get Avengers, I always get Legion, I used to always get Titans.
Yeah.
Until I'm actually going to buy a Titan comic because I'm looking forward to the new creative people, but it's been 15 years. But I had things, and I just anything with Golden Age heroes.
Yeah.
And I think I was behind, and I caught up. But I think by issue 24, I was like, wow, I have a new favorite superhero fan. To me, it was this big thing, and I still think it's the best single or finite run of any comic in a lot of ways. And I'm so addicted to it that I eventually, I started to do the podcast. So, do you have a favorite Starman?
Apart from the one I created,
Yeah, of those other hacks versions.
I don't know. It's hard to beat Ted for me. I'll be honest. The original and best. It's just so iconic.
Yeah.
It's like when James Robinson did the Golden Age, and then advanced him, it changed his character that way. Originally, I believe Golden Age was supposed to be in continuity, and then DC went, no, let's make this an Elseworlds, thanks.
But yeah, and I think it should be continuity because I mean it's so good. It's like the Marvel did the What If number, I think it's 4, where they did what if Cap had continued to fight after World War II, and then let's just make that his backstory because that explains a lot of things. Yeah, I'm Jack's my guy, but if people ask me, it's like it's both. It's Jack and Ted. It's the Knights.
Yeah.
That's kind of the others are just. They're like the Scooby Gang. They're like the background characters in Buffy. They're interesting.
Yeah.
But they're not as good as Ted and Jack. And I think Robinson adding stuff to Ted's history made Ted so much more interesting. And it all made sense that he worked on the bomb and that screwed him up. And then the little add-ons he did, because my brother he found in the comic shop all the Murphy Anderson, Gardner Fox, Hourman, and then Doc.
Oh, okay.
So I've been reading those since probably 1979, 1980, and they're masterpieces. I still think they're some of the best team-up comics ever written. And how Robinson just tweaked everything. It was great. Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't use this one, the one we're going to cover.
Yeah, Star Hyphen, man, he missed him. He couldn't have known. I'm sure he couldn't have known, because there's so many easy ways in which, we'll probably talk about it after we talk about the story, but there's so many ways he could have used him and brought him in, because I think Dave came up with an idea that he spoke to you about, and I've got a different idea for a plot that they could have used. So, but we'll talk about that after we talk about the story. Well, I think.
Let's introduce this. Hold on, let me pull up, give the vital statistics and things of this issue. Hold on. All right, so this is Detective Comics 286. Cover date December 1960. On sale the 25th of October 1960. Editor Jack Schiff. The story we're covering is that we're only covering the first one. I'm going to read the rest of this because I've never read of what the TV detective.
Roy Raymond.
Yes. I've heard of Roy Raymond, but I don't remember him being a TV detective.
Oh, yeah.
This is called The Doomed Batwoman. It's 13 pages. Artist Sheldon Maldorf. This does not give a writer credit.
Oh, hang on.
It's got to be Bill Finger.
This is real time, folks. Real time research.
It happens. I was surprised because normally Mike's has everything, but
it's unknown. The writer is unknown. So there we are.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just going to assume it's Bill Finger because I enjoyed it. Have you seen the film Bill and Me?
No, I've not. No.
It's worth tracking down. It's a wonderfully made documentary that the guy really goes into and goes, it stopped being a documentary and became a mission to get his family recognition for his work. And it's lovely. And the book that goes with it, the book that they put out too, is really good. One of my wife and mine's first date is I made her watch it. She's like, why? It's just interesting. This guy. So Sheldon Maldorf, and this is the first appearance of the Star Hyphen Man. And I'm going to read the little synopsis, and then we're going to kind of go through the book. Batman and Robin encounter a costume thief with super strength, Starman. The crook is searching for a magic belt which has been purchased by Kathy Kane. The belt is one of 3 mystical pieces Starman possesses, one which gives him super strength and steals another which allows him to defy gravity. Kathy wears the belt and it weakens her, endangering her life. However, when she wears it in Starman's presence, the crook's powers are nullified. Kathy, as Batwoman, assists Batman in stopping the crook. The belt is added to the other components, curing Kathy. She and Batman both decide the belt is too dangerous and should be destroyed. All right, so first I want to talk about the cover. I always like to talk about the cover. This is a great cover. Yeah. Does it give the cover artist here? I was surprised, not in my notes, surprised that on the one me and Dave covered, that it was a Kurt Swan cover.
Yes, yeah. This cover's really striking because you've got Batwoman front and centre, and she is definitely the focus of the story. And you've got Batman and Robin like a shot from behind them looking onwards. What is a bit disappointing is you don't get a full front view of the Star Hyphen man as he's running away wearing his ridiculously awful costume.
It's not the best design.
Yeah.
It looks like the star is kind of just taped to his forehead.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the most low rent of villains you could possibly imagine. But I do love he's gone for a cape and cowl. I think he's maybe, I don't know, perhaps gone to Paul Gamby's in Central City and bought something off the discount rack.
Yes, it looks like he's wearing what a little kid's Halloween costume.
Yeah.
And just tape the star to a bicycle helmet.
Yes, I mean as I said, it's so low rent, it's so just ridiculous. There's no effort involved there, but I think that says more about him. Interestingly, he never takes off his mask in this story, and he's never given a name in this story.
Yeah, there's no secret identity, nothing. I mean, what gets me is he's never came back as a villain. There are dumber Batman villains that have not. One of the comics I have has an early Kite Man.
I love Kite Man.
It is such a dumb power set, but it's so 1960s. It's this is the year of these great villains and it's not even hokey because I grew up watching the Batman TV show as a rerun, and as a little kid, it was like, oh, it's goofy, it's not right,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when I go back and I reread these or watch that, I'm like, there's a certain joy to them that they are just so kitsch, but silly, but everybody has, Bruce is Bruce, Batman's Batman. It just all works. I like, and what I miss in these, as I in modern comics, but in the Silver Age comics, basically the first page, the splash page, is another cover.
Yes.
It's not part of the story. And this one and they have these great intros. I like this one. He called himself the Starman, for he wore a glowing star, a star that gave him a mighty power. Against a strange force, Batman and Robin fought desperately, knowing that on the outcome of their fight depends the life of the doomed Batwoman.
The doomed Batwoman.
She's underneath this. They're about to get pressed.
Yes, they're in an inescapable doom trap. It's wonderful.
It is. These giant devices that villains have, and she's just about to faint.
Of course. For she is a woman, and that's what women do.
Oh my God!
In the Silver Age.
Oh God! This is so. They're not as sexist as I remember. There are more sexist ones, but At
least there's a proper reason for her weakness in this story. Which is the what the belt is actually doing to her. It's giving her energy, and then it's like draining after a while. There is a proper reason for her sudden weakness, and it's not just Batman.
It's not like the poor stuff they put Lois Lane and others through.
Exactly, yes.
It's Superman. I like this one, the opening panel of the second page is Batman and Robin are practicing their high wire act.
Yeah, on the trapeze, and they've got this wonderful bat logo in the background, but it's a reverse one. You've got a yellow bat symbol on a black background. It's joyous.
I know.
It's so good.
I love these panel layouts. And then it's like, and the show's not on. Hold on, when is this? 1960?
Oh no, this is way before the show.
Yeah, it is way before the show.
Yeah. But the tone of this story is very much the tone that they've taken for the show.
That second panel looks like something you would have proposed. You would have seen Burt Ward in, not Burt Ward.
Yeah.
Batman.
Adam West.
Yes. I just Burt Ward's been popping up on my Twitter feed for some reason the last couple days. He played. Someone posted a picture. He played the Pope in a movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was weird.
Crikey.
It was some
Pope Robin the First.
I don't know. It was weird. It was in the 70s, some like B movie. It was like
okay.
And someone posted the picture, but the layouts and dude, this is my favorite Batmobile. I think.
Yes, me too.
The 50s one, I like those more than any of the modern ones.
The one with the big giant bat head at the front. It's great. I remember. One of the, again, when I was a boy, I got second-hand a British Annual, and the British Annuals were kind of like hardcovers. They weren't like the comic.
Yeah, I
omnibus you
have
get
some
over there.
Doctor. I have a
Cool.
shelf full of Doctor Who ones.
Good. Yeah, one of the.
And we got the X-Men one. There's an X-Men one.
Okay.
With it, it's Neil Adams and Roy Thomas's X-Men are collected, and there was a Captain America that had the Stranko issues collected, and we got that over here.
That X-Men one was actually my prize for winning that competition.
Was it?
Yes.
I love that one.
But go back to the Batmobile. I remember vividly reading this story in this Batman annual, which it was a fire engine that was chasing Batman and Robin in a fire engine chasing the bad guys, because obviously they were in disguise as firemen, and they just press a button and the facade of the fire engine falls away, and it's this Batmobile under it zooming after the bad guys, and I thought, yes, this looks fantastic. So this has always been a favourite of mine. Yeah,
it is good.
Doesn't
the bat head pop out as a battering ram?
I think it has done. Yeah,
okay.
I always like it. The closer the Batmobile gets to being a car, like a high-end sports car or something with just a few modifications, that's the kind of Batmobile that I like. I don't like it when they make it like a tank or something that, wouldn't be driven. It's
no, yeah.
It's just so weird. But something like this, or indeed the '66 Batmobile, or in the '70s, where it literally was like a sports car, pretty much. He was driving about in.
It was like a Dodge Dart or something like that, or a Chevy of some sort.
That's what it should be. It's supposed to be urban vigilante. You should be able to go from place to place quickly without this big bulky car with all these
rockets,
bells and whistles on it.
The Tim Burton, the first Burton movie Batman, there was MTV gave one of them away.
Yeah.
And it ended up in Richmond. The kid that won it was like, what am I going to do with this? I live in an apartment. So he gave it to the Children's Science Museum, and it was parked in their lobby for about 30 or 40 years.
Wow.
About 30 years. Yeah. But he won it. He was like, he got it. He's like, I can't, it's not street. He couldn't drive it because it wasn't street legal.
I know, it's ridiculous. I mean, it could easily be defeated by the first speed bump it hits.
And Richmond roads are shit. So it would hit a pothole and snap it out. But this thing is great, and I like it. They cut to the museum, where the Starman. We have no introduction to him other than he's robbing this place.
Yeah.
And he's beating up this poor curator, and the guy's like, I had this belt, but we gave it to a secondhand shop.
Yeah. As you do. That's what I do. If I'm working in a museum, I just go, no, just get rid of that. It's something else.
And they're already talking about the belt, but it does this. It looks like he is scotched. Batman punches him.
Yeah.
And you can see it. It's just, this is the laziest. Is it? I think it's a Silver Age thing. Unless the character is going to be really prominent or something, it's basically just two-tone costume, no symbols, very bland. But they get in a fight, and then he lifts up on the next page this big, gigantic statue and throws it at Batman and Robin. Mm-hmm. And
the thing is, this star is how he gets his powers. Which is fine as super strength. However, he doesn't have to strap it to his forehead. That seems silly because it could literally come off. Batman could grab it, it could come off, and then he's crushed under this statue. It makes no sense.
I don't know why. Why isn't it on his chest?
Exactly. You would think.
Well, that would because that's what heroes do, and all the bad guys just kind of stick it somewhere else. But they had this great fight scene. I love these things. This is pre-Dick Sprang. So my brother worshipped Dick Sprang, so we had a bunch of Dick Sprang. But I could almost see the giant typewriters and all that stuff.
Oh, yes. Definitely in that era. It's superb.
But they had this great fight in there, and he decides to run away because he's, what is it? Oh, police sirens. Maybe I'm super strong, but I'm not invulnerable to bullets. Must get away. The belt isn't here anyway. And then Batman and Robin are showed what the belt looks like, and they're told where it was gone. And Batman goes and checks it out. Oh, no name. I can't remember her face either. She was a girl, pretty though. I told the other man the same thing. So it's like, and they leave. I wonder why the Starman wanted the belt so much. If only we knew which woman bought it. Meanwhile, it happens to be someone you have a date with tonight, Bruce.
Yes.
Kathy Kane, the original Batwoman.
Of course.
Yes. I do like this Batwoman and the Batgirl. I mean,
Yes,
I
me
think the
too.
first time I ever read anything was that Teen Titans, the Rosakis run, when they brought
Hmm.
that
Yeah,
Batgirl into Titans West, and then my brother,
me
I had to go.
too. Yeah.
My brother gave me, made me. He had the Fleischer Batman encyclopedia,
Me
which
too.
I had
Yes.
read,
Hmm.
you know. Oh, I wish I still had ours.
Oh, I've got mine kicking about here somewhere.
So,
Yes.
I think I probably would have read her because I read that. I would lay in the living room and just read that page to page. But
Hmm.
something's wrong. The belt is making her tingly and feel a little faint. But she's got a date with Bruce.
Hmm.
So they go to a supper club. This
See,
is
that's what I love.
I
That's what I love about this is this Batman gets his crime fighting done during the day, so he can go out and have a date in the evening. You know, it's it's not
and I like
this
this. This is Batman.
brooding.
Pre-angsty Batman is the one thing is
Yes.
that he has a life. He's got girlfriends.
Yeah.
They just happen to be vigilantes like him, unbeknownst to him, because he's the great detective, but he can't figure out that the woman he's dating is Batwoman.
Oh no, it's the other way around. He knows that she's Batwoman,
Oh,
but
that's
she
right.
doesn't
It's the
know
other
he's
way around.
Batman. Yeah.
I'd be like,
So
honey, that jaw.
Bruce could just like come clean about the whole thing, and they could live happily ever after. You know, it'd be fantastic. But no, he has to be secretive. You know,
Oh yeah.
shocking.
And that no one can tell. It's like I'm reading the Gold Age Starman, and it's like you don't have a mask on.
Yeah.
How stupid is Does she need glasses? I mean, but he goes back to home, and
Hmm.
saying, "Oh, poor Kathy looks so fragile," and Robin points out, like, "Well, I've never heard you talk about another woman with such concern. I guess Kathy means more to you than you care to admit."
There we are.
That's
He
it,
could be
Dick.
happy.
Dick.
Just tell her, Bruce. Tell her.
Well, and you could go out crime fighting together. And then she puts on her, I very 60s costume, but I do like it.
Oh yes, I do. The Batwoman costume's got awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she puts on the belt, and then because they're all going, they just happen to be doing a performance at a circus that night too.
It's charity. It's charity events, which I love. It's great fun. It's what you want from. It's what I want from Batman is to him actually be a public figure and not just hidden in the shadows. Actually have him as a person out doing things like fundraising for charity. That's brilliant. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
At a circus of all places.
And they're gonna do motorcycle tricks. I love it.
Of course.
Um, and watching on TV is the star hyphen man, and he sees his belt, so he heads over there.
So this charity gig is being broadcast live as
Oh,
well. And Starman obviously is close enough to the charity gig to get there within 2 panels.
oh yeah, it's
I
how
love this
small a
stuff.
town is Gotham?
It's great.
Oh, it's kind of like TV logic that everything's right
Yeah.
next to everything.
Yeah.
But I gotta say that this is pages 6 and 7.
Hmm.
I like these big widescreen kind of pullbacks of the big set
Yeah.
pieces, and
Hmm.
because there's a grandeur to it. Because a lot of superhero comics sometimes are those tight shots,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
or all fighting. But I like this, and that they're doing the loop de loop. Batman and Robin are
Yes.
doing the loop de loop on the motorcycles.
Hmm.
I think I had that Hot Wheel track as a kid.
Cool.
But just that whole sequence where they're fighting, or not
Hmm.
fighting, before they come fighting, and then Starman comes in on the next page.
Doing the super strength bits.
Yeah, he's using his super strength, but once he gets close to Kathy, he doesn't have any strength, and she's empowered. And then Batman and Robin, I don't know how they hop off with the motorcycles and not kill. Oh yeah, they use the trampoline.
Yes. Again, it's joyous. You're going to love it.
And the cameraman's just sitting there while all this fighting's going on, right in the middle. And as he gets, Starman flees and his power comes back, and then he traps everybody from chasing him by mangling these bars.
Hmm.
And that's when they find out, that the belt neutralized. They figure out the belt has been neutralized
Yeah.
his powers and made her weak.
Yeah. how the actual artifacts work together and empower the person and depower the person. It's all a bit kind of woolly and not hugely well thought out, I don't think.
Yeah, I think.
But yeah, but it's still good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Then we have this whole thing where they're figuring it out. They go to, what is it, Professor Fraser? The explorer, Malcolm Fraser.
Uh-huh.
Good Scottish name.
Yes.
And
he's got the other parts. Well,
yes,
he knows about the other part. Because it's the buckle, there's the star, there's the belt, and there's the buckle, and that's the three parts that form the full belt.
This is kind of like Star Spangled Kid's Starman belt, almost.
Yes. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. The cosmic
See,
converter
Robinson, you missed a thing. This could have been that. You could have worked that into it. And it's all been powered by a Tibetan legend. According to the Tibetan legend, when the three parts are fitted together, the entire belt gives the wearer even more amazing powers and immortality. I never believed it, but now. So that's what Starman's after. We better get Bryant before he does. And they all climb in the Batmobile.
Mm-hmm.
And just as they enter the building, he knocks them out with one punch.
Yep. Starman suddenly appears. It's fantastic.
And then, what is it? It's a stamp making machine that they're going to be crushed in. Okay.
That's the inescapable doom trap. He's tied them to the table at the base of a stamp making machine. Of course, that's what you would do.
And Starman has the buckle and the star, so he puts it together, and it's now both are strapped to his head with some sellotape.
Yep.
and he's leaping around like I don't know why he's jumping so high. He's just leaping around the room.
That's the new power he's got when he's put them together. He's got super strength and he can defy gravity. I don't know if it means he can fly or if it means he can just leap. It just says I can defy gravity too.
Okay.
So he's just wanting the belt part so he can get immortality as well.
Yeah.
So.
And then Kathy comes in and she puts the belt on and he falls flat on his face once it neutralizes him. And she sits there glowing while he's crawling on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and Batman, of course, while that's all happening, kicks off one boot and smashes the lamp.
Yeah, that is so 60s TV show. That's amazing. Inescapable Doom Trap, he gets his boot off and kicks it, smashes it's incredible. I love it. And then, of course, he manages to cut the ropes. We don't see it on panel, he just says he does. He cuts the ropes with the broken glass from the light fitting. It's great.
Yeah.
Great logic, kids. There you go.
I love it. And then while Robin's handcuffing the Starman, Batman and Batwoman are deciding that they must destroy the belt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that didn't end up in his trophy case.
Yeah, they just say they're going to destroy the belt. You don't actually see the belt destroyed, which leads me on to the sequel that they could have done.
Oh yeah, again, why Robin said, "Come on, man."
Yeah, because I would have thought that we'd have had something like one of the Adaires finds this star thing at a crime scene, and obviously it's nothing to do with the crime. He thinks, "Oh, that's quite cool. I'll give it to Jack," and Jack's like, "Oh, all right, okay, thanks." Just throws it in a pile, and then all of a sudden, this guy in a trench coat comes into town. Really low rent, perhaps even still with the same mask and a bit of sellotape in his head, waiting. Yeah, maybe wearing the belt or something, just looking for the final parts. That would have been great, and you could have had the star Hyphen man appear, and have a couple of issues with that playing out, and give him a backstory. That would have been fantastic. But sadly not. As I said, I don't think James Robinson knew about the existence of this guy. Otherwise, he definitely would have done it.
Oh, he would have, because he put so much into it. I mean, I'm enjoying rereading it. I hadn't reread it in a long time, so I am enjoying it. But now that, and especially since I'm jumping between Ted and Jack and the other Starman, Disco Starman, or as Dave said, he calls him Blue Starman, who I'm enjoying. He's also in Danger. He's also one of the main characters in Tom King's comic Danger Street.
I'm loving that.
Isn't it amazing?
Yes.
I'm late to Tom King. I read some of his regular Batman and I went, this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't great. And I don't read a lot of solo heroes anyway, because I'm a team kind of guy. But I read his Rorschach, and I went, I don't see why anybody has a problem. It's just a detective story set after.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm really digging what he's doing with Danger Street, and that he took characters from an obscure 70s series.
Yeah.
And said, okay, 13 issues. I'm going to do 12, and I'm going to use these characters. So I bought the hardcover, so I'm kind of reading them side by side.
See, my theory is that Tom King got the hardcover as a comp from DC, and he went, hang on, I could just do a story with all these characters together. And
they don't belong together at all.
No. But he makes it work. And also, they all appear or are mentioned in every single issue so far.
Yeah, I was wondering when we got to the 3 that metamorphosed in 3, and it's just the kid polishing his arm, which is kind of weird and phallic.
Yeah.
And little,
kids,
but it's a little.
They're
I think
nice,
that's the
kids.
point. I think it's really good. I can't wait till I get to Lady Cop, because I have not read about half of those. My brother bought most of them when we were kids. Like I had read the Starman, Disco Starman. I had read the New Gods. I had read the Metamorpho and the Warlord. My brother Hugh loved Warlord, so we had a complete run of Warlord. I mean, he bought it for me.
Wow, fantastic!
Yeah, we got it as it was coming out. But I hadn't read. I think I may have read the Dingbats, and I had read the Atlas, but that was about it. But I have gone through those. I've read the whole volume. Real quickly, and when I want to look at it, and there's some weird stuff, man. The Green Team is really weird. The Outsider is really weird.
Yeah.
I remember Codename Assassin popping up in the Robinsons. Didn't he pop up in the Robinsons Superman?
Yeah, as did Atlas.
I knew Atlas did, because I actually kind of liked Robinson Superman run at the beginning. I kind of followed it. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great thing, and it's nice to see Michael, because I think Robinson does so much with Michael as a character. And then he does some weird stuff with him when he puts him in Justice League, because I wasn't ever sure when I was first reading Starman and Congarilla, the one shot, I went, please tell me he is not dating Congarilla. And then there's a line, oh no, someone else was in the bedroom. Okay, I was a little upset. But this is a fun comic. I
almost feel sorry for James Robinson and his Justice League run, because basically by the time he got to do it, none of the main characters were the main characters at the time. You had stand-ins for everyone. You know, Donna was Wonder Woman. You had Dick was Batman. You know, he didn't really get a chance to do, the main Justice League.
Yeah,
so I think that's why he brought in Starman and Congarilla, so he could play around with them a bit.
Well, I'm one of those people who likes a superhero team that every once in a while kicks its big guns.
Yeah.
And has, like one of my favorite.
But not all at the same time.
Yeah. That's kind of normal. They're about to change once this latest run is over. They're going back to a more traditional 7 members, because the last 2 writers, who I like, Hickman and Aaron, but it's big spectacle.
Yeah.
But I like that run because it's all characters. Because I'm a big, after Crisis, I really loved Wally's Flash run.
Me too.
I thought it was a really good comic. And I was a Titan reader, like pretty much from Martin Pascal. I read all those as they were coming out.
Oh, fantastic!
And my brother had some of the Nick Cardy ones, and that Christmas one was in a cup, had been reprinted, and
fantastic.
They're amazing. The Zany Haney ones are freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
And Nick Cardy his art's gorgeous, but I mean, I read Titan, I read Wolfman Press, I literally read all of Wolfman's Titans as they were coming out, and if I missed it, I would go catch it, and I enjoy it. I think it's good, and I had a soft spot for Dick and Donna.
Yeah.
So it was okay, and I thought it was a good eclectic group. I liked Supergirl being in. But I have all those trades because even though I sold off all my singles, I got those because they kind of tie in. There's a big Justice Society JLA JSA team up.
Yeah. Did you ever read the final issue of Robinson's run? It was like just before the New 52 kicked off. And basically it was like a flash forward to the future, and it's kind of like some of them meeting up and they're talking about some of their past cases, and it's all stuff that Robinson had planned but never actually got to do.
I don't think I
Like,
have. I think
oh, it's amazing.
I've got
'Cause
them all. I thought about just putting them all in order and reading them because it's like only
Yeah.
5 volumes. It's only 5 trades or something. I've got like 3 in
Yeah.
hardcover and 3 in softcover. But
That
I
last
liked almost
issue-
everything he's ever
great.
done.
Yeah.
His FF, I was a little underwhelmed.
I'll be honest, I've not read that.
I didn't understand giving him red costumes.
Well, Johnny had a red costume before, so
Well,
you know.
so that's the Johnny I remember because my first
Yeah.
FFs were those Rick
okay.
Buckler and John Buscema
Yes.
joined Roy Thomas ones.
Yeah, fantastic, good stuff. But
Yes,
have
he
you ever
wasn't
read...
a member when I started my first my first FF was Ben, Reed, Johnny, and Medusa.
Oh, fantastic, good stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever read his Airboy run? His Airboy series?
No, I want to get it. Did he write
Yeah.
that in the 80s, or was that a second run? Was that a more recent
He
run?
did. He did a 4-issue miniseries, and it's not so much about Airboy. It's more kind of his own issues that he's working out on the page.
I read the first one of that.
And it is phenomenal. And I've no idea how he got work for DC afterwards, but he has.
Well, you know.
It's literally it's therapy on the page, and it's phenomenal. And it's such a simple story, but it's all about his personal journey, and it's brutal, it's honest, and it doesn't do him any favors because he doesn't put himself in a good light either. But it's a really interesting read, and I highly recommend it.
Well,
they did a great hardcover collection of it, so check that out.
I'll have to look for that because I'm intrigued because I like that in the Starman trades he talks about that he almost left the book because of all the stuff going on in his life.
Yeah.
And that the comic is a reflection of what's going on in his life. And I appreciate that honesty because a lot of comic people, well, I'm just doing this, I'm just doing that, you know, nothing.
Yeah.
They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. But the Starman run is such an inspired concept, and that he stuck to it. This is finite. And that DC has not used Jack again.
Yeah, I mean, it must be...
really, why? Is it contractual there, you know?
I don't think there's any sort of contracts involved because it'll be like a gentleman's agreement like they had with Watchmen, but then again, look what happened with that.
Yeah.
After Paul Levitz left, they went, well, let's just use his Watchmen characters, that's fine. And then, you know, they could do the same with Jack. Well, I'm surprised they haven't.
Well, I got the Scott Snyder JLA because they were bringing back JSA. Yeah. And then they brought back Will Payton. And it just it missed me. It just missed me. I was like, is this a new Justice Society? Is this a different? Do we have different continuity? Are you going to honor? Yeah. Are we just ignoring Jack's history, which is? And now, if you looked at the numbering's different. That there's no Starman of 51. If you look on like database and stuff like that, right. But I just don't think they've decided because they do mention Stargirl. Jack gave her the staff. That's still kind of going on, which I liked, and I consider Stargirl kind of the Stargirl and Star Spangled Kid as part of the Starman family.
Oh, without a doubt, yes.
Yeah, because I got Stargirl the first issue because it was going to have, you know, it's a Star Spangled Kid connection, and I went, this is a really great comic book. It is. I'm a big Johns fan. I know he hasn't done anything that any other comic writer has done, like overstay his welcome on a title.
Oh, I think he has.
Yeah, I think he has. I mean, you know, I call it pulling a Claremont. And
if he's on for something too long, he starts to kill off characters because he doesn't know what else to do. So that's a quick, easy way to do it. And it's like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Just have him
go
away.
That's why I'm glad Stargirl and GSA are both limited series, because I think if it was ongoing, I'd be tempted just to go back to that.
Well, as I'm seeing the announcements about the dawn of the new JLA, I think they're not doing long. If you don't have a long-running series going, we're only going to do 6 and 8 and 12 issue series.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually not a bad idea for a modern comic model because you don't have to hold them for 5 or 6 years. You just have to get them to buy what's new. And I've got all the Lazarus I was late to the World's Finest and Batman versus Robin Wade runs, which was a mistake because they're the best things I've read from DC other than I'm enjoying the Stargirl Lost Children.
Yes.
A ton. And the JSA is okay. I want to see. I would like more to happen. He's
Yeah,
not
it's all
afraid of
set up
talking.
so far, so yes.
Yeah, he's not afraid of having word balloons and talking and having
Yeah.
plot and because there's a lot going on in the Stargirl comic.
Yeah.
I would like to see that in the Justice Society comic.
Yeah.
I can't modern like Bendis stuff where it's like if I can't read the single issue as a single issue, even though it's part of an arc, you're failing.
Yeah,
But,
with you.
But I think that model's good, and some of the stuff from the Lazarus planet's looking interesting. The Doom Patrol looks kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all on board for all these new heroes to try out. You know, they're creating Vigil and all these people from other. And I've read some of the Monkey Prince. Mm-hmm. It's weird. I just don't have an opinion.
I've not read Monkey Prince, to be honest. No.
It's just it fits into what Wade's doing. It's not his comic, but it is. Yeah. But it's kind of like, you know, it's very Marvelish in that they're gods. Their powers derived from gods.
Uh-huh.
But it's odd, but it's
yeah.
It's
speaking of which, I'm very excited for the Shazam series that Wade's doing, and he's going to be called The Captain.
Is that it? What they're going to call him?
Yeah.
Oh, thank
good
God.
Compromise. So that's fine.
What was it? Why didn't just call him Captain Thunder? Don't they own that?
No, I think Roy Thomas trademarked that one.
Oh, you bastard!
I think he did. Okay. I could be wrong, but I'm sure I read that somewhere. So yeah, I could be wrong. But
all right. Well, I liked. Did you read the one with Mary, the more recent?
I haven't finished it. I've started it, but I haven't finished it yet.
I liked it.
Just the first issue, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a nice character study, and I like how they bring Hoppy in.
Yeah.
As a talking.
Yeah, that's
a
right.
Real rabbit that talks.
Yeah.
And Uncle Dudley's in, so I'll look forward to see what they do with that. I didn't mind. I thought the start of Johns' Shazam was okay, but it really went off the rails quick.
Yeah, I think it's hard to beat the Ordway series. That was just amazing.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I think it's the only time that character has worked outside of like the one and done Nelson Burgle Schaffenberger kind of throwaway stories.
Yeah,
it is the only time because I don't.
The only time it's worked in an expanded universe and not just his own, universe or his own corner of whatever. Yeah. Because he could cross over and you could believe it and it worked.
Yeah, it was better.
And he crossed over with Starman, for goodness sake.
Oh, yeah, and it worked because there was one of the perfect characters for Jack to meet, Bulletman and Spy Smack.
Oh, I love Bulletman.
I will say Johns and Robinson were really good about the legacy of the Justice Society.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were definitely doing Roy. I mean, Jeff Johns was like, I'm just doing what Roy, And I think all superhero comic writers at some level are doing Roy because there's superhero teams before Roy.
Yeah.
And then when he started writing like Avengers and stuff, and there was a little bit of soap opera, and you would have big guns, and then, okay, I need at least 3 characters that I control.
Yeah.
So I can have something. And I think Claremont just does Roy. I think most of the good ones are just doing Roy.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm a huge Roy fan. But there is his. I will be honest, like brutally honest about his Legion, which I found very, very hard to read.
The Reflecto saga? Surely not. That was his, wasn't it? Yeah,
yes, it was. That was the end, and that was the highlight. But he had the circus in space, which was just like, dude, it's 1950. What are you writing?
I think Reflecto was one of my first Legion issues that I got as well, if I remember rightly. Yeah.
Really?
The unmasking of Reflecto, I went, wow, okay, because I didn't know anything. I had nothing to compare it with. I thought, this is exciting, okay.
My brother had found back issues, and so we had the adult Legion issues.
Oh, superb, yeah.
Oh God, yeah. And also, when I was little and he was getting comics, 100-page spectacular. I was really loved you and Dave Zapp. Because during the pandemic, I bought about 20 of them that I had no longer had. Like,
so
I got
good.
like 5 Legion ones. I got like 5 Justice League ones.
Yeah.
I got a Shazam Family one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot, but those were that run in Justice League.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Because one, it's some of the best Justice League at the time, that Lin Wein, Dick Dillon stuff, and then because that's how I got to read like Justice Society stories, because you'd get,
Yeah.
New Justice League, an old Justice League story, and then
Yeah.
a Justice Society or Seven Soldiers of Victory story.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
remember reading in Detective Comics. Well, that's when they tied up the Manhunter series that Simonson did.
Which was epic.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely epic. Yeah.
I got a hardcover of that a couple years ago.
I've got the artist edition of that.
Oh, how was that?
It's glorious.
Oh, is it?
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait when I get to the Simonson Doc Fate in first issue specials. Yeah. My first Simonson was the Alien adaptation.
Oh, amazing! Yeah.
My brother had that. Yeah, they came out in a trade after it was
Mm-hmm.
Was it Playboy? I forgot who created.
so.
Someone
Something
had
like that,
the
yeah.
right. It was weird who had
Yeah.
the rights to it. So. Well, hey, let's tie this up. Pete,
Sure.
thanks for coming on. I'm going to ask you to come back at some point if you have a Starman issue or something that you're interested in. Let me know.
No bother. Fantastic.
I had a blast. I love y'all's podcast. I just re-listened to the Starman today, and I love that the last one, it was more Barry. You got a lot of Barry coming up, don't you?
Yeah, we do indeed. Funnily enough, Pre-Crisis Barry is my favourite Flash, my favourite character of all time. I've got a full run of his from 107 up. I'm just missing the first 2 issues, but I'll never get them now.
Is that the showcase?
No, it's the first Mirror Master and the first Gorilla Grodd. It's 105, 106, so there's no way I'm getting those. They're far too expensive. But I've got the entire rest of his run, which is great. I'm now working on a full Justice League run, so that's...
Oh, how's that going?
I need about 20 issues, and that'll be it.
Is that the initial run from 1 to whatever, 2 something?
261, yeah. Huh? I've got issues 1 and 2, so that's the harder ones to get.
I bet.
So,
wow, that's cool.
Yeah. See,
I miss having whole runs. I saw that
it's fun.
they had put out these bigger Crisis on Multiple Earth volumes. I didn't realize they had done a 1 and a 2.
3's due out as well. 3's coming.
Yeah, and that's because I don't have the last of the team-ups because they never did a tiny volume.
Yeah, that's right, because they had the Infinity Inc. one. That didn't come out, I don't believe. And is it the Champion family, I think they're called?
Yeah. And
the one that Kurt Busiek did, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to get all I'm looking to get that because that's about all I have for Justice League is some trades and those multiple Earths because for me it's the JSA. I mean JSA is my favorite DC team and pretty much now. I'm looking for. I wish they do more and I wish they'd reprint more.
Yeah.
But maybe when they get their house straighted because I'd like an All-Star Squadron omnibus very much.
Yeah, you're not alone in that. There's a lot of people who do it.
It doesn't make any sense why there isn't.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And I had the showcase, but it was like it doesn't have the team up issues.
And that's the thing. The showcase came out, and we were all expecting a volume 2, and there was no volume 2. It's like, oh, okay.
I just don't think. What it gets me is there is a huge fan base for these Golden Age characters, but I don't know if it's big enough for them to sell a bunch. But hopefully. All right. So Pete, tell everybody where they can hear y'all.
Well, the Earth 2 podcast is available on all your favourite podcatchers. Just look for us there. On our social medias, we've got the Earth 2 podcast at Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter at podcast_Earth2. So, yes, that's where you can find us.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on, folks. As always, be safe, be smart, be kind to one another, and read some comics.